Behind that's dining room 5. You guys ain't never going to see that dining room. It's done for special parties and events, shall we say, okay? Down on the first floor, they got 4 major dining rooms, more than large enough to bring in whatever they got to hold here in the way of feeding people dinner. Got bottles of wine in here for 25 to a dime. That's $1,000. So be very careful if you go in there and eat and you order on that wine list. Make sure that when it comes to the table of what you ordered, it's not get your charge card out, you're going to pay for it. Other than that, it's a great place to eat. You know, we get these movie stars, you know, out of Hollywood, these producers and directors, they come into Vegas and lose their money. And they can't get reservations here. They end up at Caesars at the Bellagio for dinner. That about tells you what the food is in here. It's absolutely fabulous, guys. Tony and his crew used to sit up every day in that dining room up there. You know, one day he was up there about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. All the way in the back of that dining room is an upper kitchen used strictly for serving that dining room. So the waitress didn't have to run up and down, you know. Right outside that those kitchen doors was a table in the back of the dining room. Pig Nutella, the big guy, the owner, he's out there with a 15-year-old busboy. He's telling the kid how to make salads. He says, David, run into the cooler and make me a case of lettuce there. Bring it out here. Okay, boss. Goes into those kitchen doors. Tony in the front, he's only 5'5", 160 pounds, but he's got a great set of ears on him. He jumps up from the table talking to his crew in the front of that dining room. He looks at his crew and he goes, oh no, cooler. He sprints through that dining room like a track star. He bursts into the kitchen. He knocks the kid out of the way before he gets to that cooler door. Tony goes into that cooler and he drags out a case of lettuce. You thought it was a body, right? It's true, you probably would have watched it. You know how people are, I ain't gonna watch that, it's not real. Basically, the movie Righteous Kill was the only time De Niro and Pacino were on the big screen together as equals, okay? Rosenthal here couldn't have his name on a sign. He's got mob ties. The gaming board frowns on people like that, okay? So, bottom line is, he's running an operation there. Alan Glick, his name is on the sign, but Alan Glick, 6 out of 7 days a week is in La Costa Country Club in Southern California playing golf. Need I say any more? He'll say the gaming board finds out he's in and out of the casino like a barfly. He's got mob ties, right? They corner him in a parking lot and say, Mr. Rosenthal, we see you in there one more time. We're going to yank the gaming license, okay? We don't want you in the hotel anymore. Yeah, this is perfect, Jeff. This is perfect. So, stupid. When Larry shows up, and who's this guy with him? Cullotta put Romano in a car with Larry. And he told Larry, put a bullet in his ear if he pulls anything funny in the car. Everything's normal. 2 cars cruising up and down Sahara here. Green light for go. About 8:45 at night, the fireworks are ready to go off down on the strip. Joe Blasco shows up in a dry cleaning van. He pulls behind that 908 building back there where you see that silver blue car there. He pulls the van inside there. Simultaneously, Leo, Ernie, and Matecki here show up. They get all the tools out of the van, their saws, ladders, drills. They go between the buildings back here, the back of the jewelry store by that 908 there. They take out the security system, they crawl up on top of the roof. They start cutting a hole in the roof. What they didn't realize, at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, there was over 50, a combination of 50 federal officers tied in with Las Vegas Metro Cop blanketing this whole area. These buildings across the street, the building over here, in strategically parked positions were cars that were watching these guys from the time they showed up, and they can't do anything before they get entering. On that 908 building was Dennis Hartley, Emmett Michaels, another Fed, and 2 Vegas cops. You imagine, this is like a Laurel and Hardy comedy. They're watching these guys in the dark cut a hole in the roof. If you notice, the brickwork is about 5 feet taller than the roof of that jewelry store. They're watching these guys, but they can't do anything before they get a hole in the roof. Once the hole goes in, Leo Gardino, the little guy here, down the hole he goes. That's all Arnold needs. He's got entering. He gets on his lapel radio. Is everybody arrested around on the outside? Seconds later, Ernie and Matecki follow him down inside there. They're chipping their way into the vault. Arnold, Emmett Michaels, and the 2 Vegas cops jump on the roof with sawed-off shotguns, and they sit right over that hole in the roof. As these guys are As these guys come out with the merchandise, they arrest them like rats coming out of a hole. One of the easiest arrests they've ever made on the mob. Go ahead, Jeff. The door at Tony Roma's, that's where Rosenthal's Cadillac Baritz had a £1.5 C4 plastic explosive bomb put underneath this car. You guys got to understand something here. You think this is a mob hit? Trust me, guys, the mob had nothing to do with this hit. Rosenthal's making millions of dollars in a skimming operation plus whatever else. You think the mob's not in the habit of shooting themselves in the foot? They had nothing to do with this. They weren't happy with Frank, but they weren't about to clip him. And number one, they ain't gonna get rid of him with a car bomb. That's the dumbest thing in the world. Number one, we're talking a bomb here is worth about $1,000, okay? This is a remote C4 bomb, okay? A remote trigger. Big dollars. A bullet costs 50 cents. You understand what I'm telling you? Mob had nothing to do with it. Tony Spilotro had nothing to do with this either. Tony's trademark was 225 caliber rounds to the base of the brain. Tony didn't fool around with bombs. Well, Tony had nothing to do with this either, but I'm going to tell you what we know. Frank used to come in here 3 days a week for the baby back ribs. They're fabulous. Someone else knew he came in here that often, and he leaned under his car with that bomb. Went 100 feet away, sat in the car, waited for Rosenthal to come out and get in his car, shut the door, and the guy threw the switch. Rosenthal seen smoke and fire coming out of his air conditioning vents. He thinks he's got an air conditioning. He thinks he's got an electrical short. He throws the driver's door open. There's smoke and flames pouring out from underneath the Cadillac. He's got seconds to make a decision. He does what we would do, right? He dives through the flames into the parking lot. He's burned, he's bruised, and he's on fire. But he's breathing like we are, and he shouldn't be. He should be in about 15 different pieces, 50 feet in the air with the dashboard and the seats and the roof of that Cadillac. But it didn't work that way because it was a botched job done by very non-professionals. Seconds later, the gas tank catches. As you can see, it sent up a fireball and created a lot of attention in this area, let me tell you. Go ahead, kid. Yeah, created a lot of attention in the area.
Sorry? He was a driver. He got out.
You see Rosenthal. They get him here. He's holding his chest here. You know, when he exited that Cadillac as rapidly as he had to, he bruised a couple of ribs on the steering wheel. But other than that, hell, he looks great. You know, yeah, he's scarred and burned a little bit, but I mean, believe me, guys, he shouldn't look that good. They take him over to Sunrise Hospital on Maryland Parkway, where they bandaged him up, glued him back together, whatever. He leaves the hospital about 2 hours longer. He's in that E-room, that emergency room there, an extra 2 hours longer. Because he thinks the guy that tried to smoke him in the parking lot here in his car was in that hospital parking lot to finish what he started. Once he got up enough nerve, he jumped into a cab and back over to the Las Vegas Country Club, where the cab sat in the driveway of the Rosenthal's house with the meter down. Goes in the house, he packed a very quick suitcase. He got Stephen and Stephanie, his 2 kids. Jumped into that cab back to McCarran Airport and jumped the next jet for Orange County, California, where he had a real estate deal he was sealing up in San Diego, a multi-million-dollar deal. Him and the kids live in Laguna Niguel the next year and a half. Once that deal was consummated, him and the kids jump another jet back to Boca Raton, Florida, where he raises the kids to legal age. This ain't about the kids, this is about Rosenthal. Yeah, but I get the moms, you know, what about the kids? Well, the kids, growing age, whatever, they come back to Vegas here, hook up, get married, raise their own kids. During that growing age, Rosenthal here, a couple times a year, fly into Vegas, stay at one of the major hotels down on the Strip. You know, with the fedora, the beard, dark glasses. He's incognito. He doesn't want anybody to know he's here, and he called the kids and tell them Grandpa's here. Come come visit me. That's how the kids, he'd see the kids and the grandkids, but they never fly back to the Florida to see him. Kind of sad, but that's the way it is. You know, I would fly back. I'd be scared to death to be near the guy, right? Now, you guys are probably... That was a hot time, let me tell you. Yeah, Mr. Rosenthal's a very, very lucky guy. Coincidentally, they called him Lefty because he was a left-hander in baseball in his early years. That's the only reason. That name kind of hung on him. That silver thing is a detonator. That's what they used to set the bomb. It didn't go off the way it was supposed to, needless to say. Now, when I tell you who pulled this job off, you guys are going to be surprised. No, you're not. Probably not, because you guys are teachers. You're pretty smart anyway. I got one picture here to substantiate what I'm going to tell you guys. The picture of Tony Roman's back then. We were looking at it from the side there. Take a look at this there. In loving memory, devoted mom, Jerry McGee, Marmer Rosenthal. Marmer was Jerry's first husband, okay? You can see she was born in 36. And you can see she's going in the ground in 1982 at Forest Lawn Cemetery in Los Angeles. Not 30 days after they tried to smoke Mr. Rosenthal in his Cadillac at Tony Roma's, she's dead. That biker gang, guys, that she was hooked up with in LA, you guys have a clue how much? I'm sure you don't. You guys have a clue how much coke and heroin cost? A lot of money. Tens of thousands of dollars. A hell of a lot more than Jerry McGee had when she went out there. I told you, she went out there with $250,000 in cash and jewels in a safe, out of that safe deposit box, okay? 70% of that crap was jewelry. At 10 cents on a dollar at a pawn shop, now how much money does she have? She got a lot. The other 30% cash. That biker gang, guys, with all her drugs, went through everything she had, including that Mercedes-Benz she went out there in. They probably gave it to a chop shop and they got 10 to 12 dimes out of the car, if that. Jerry McGee is out of money and they're out of drug city. They know who she is. They know she's married to a multi-millionaire. They know if they take out Rosenthal, they're back into drug city. She comes into millions of dollars. Problem is, they missed him. You look left here, guys. This is the Sunrise Hospital, Las Vegas' first full-service hospital. Put up by the Cleveland mob. How does that grab you, huh? Yeah. That gangster Moldalis built this joint. I'll tell you why and when in a couple of minutes. As we get across Desert Inn Road here, on the left-hand side, you're going to be passing for the next few blocks the Boulevard Mall, okay? Las Vegas' first full-service shopping mall. Yeah, here we go again. Put up by the Cleveland mob. They're in the business of building shopping centers? Hospitals? They did whatever they could do to get people to live here. They needed people to run these casinos and hotels, guys. Not too many people looked at Vegas at 112 degrees as considering to be attractive. So they did what they had to do. But going back to these guys here, that biker gang guys tried to blow Rosenthal up in his car. This is the only thing we have that proves this, okay? They had to get rid of Jerry McGee because she's standing there saying, they tried to blow my husband up in his Cadillac. They got rid of her, guys, with a hot load of coke. So she couldn't say anything, and there's nobody around now right now that you can substantiate what I'm telling you. But to this day, it's still a cold case crime. Here, you see how far away from the strip of that used to house Frank Cullotta's pizza joint, okay? Called the Upper Crust Pizza. Frank had the place because it's a front, slides it across the table at lunchtime, you know, to the priest. The priest opens up that check, and it's a check for $1 million drafted out of the Desert Inn. He says, rebuild your parish. You got a school that's going in there, whatever, you use the money. Whatever you got left, throw it in the collection plate. Yeah, I know. Wow, huh? And the priest looked at that. He folded that check back up. He slid it back across the table to Mr. Daly. He said, I can't take that money. It's dirty money. Come on, Mr. Dalis, you ought to know me better than that. I can't take that. He says, okay, puts the check back in his pocket. We finished their lunch, said goodbye, went their separate ways. A couple months later, Mo Dalis got a phone call from the new parish priest. He wanted to do lunch. And he didn't have a problem taking that check for $1 million. And that whole parish you see over there, St. Vitus, is put up by Cleveland mob money. And there's a lot of other stuff here. I think you guys here in Vegas probably know stories that I don't. I'm not sure in the date, so I don't even want to go there. But probably 20 years ago, as long as that place has been. There you go. Yeah, make a right all the way at the end in the cul-de-sac. As we're going out, you guys see this house? You guys see this house on the left with the golden bushes with getting no water? Well, Toya Jackson used to own that house, guys. Mike's sister. The house right here next to it. You ever heard the name Robert Mayhew?
Yeah.
You bet you had. They carried him out there 5 years ago. They carried him out of that house. Heart attack, dead or the door. It's a very exclusive neighborhood at one time. As far east as Vegas as you could go and live and have a house without having lunch with rattlesnakes and pearls the other side of Eastern Avenue. This is the Las Vegas National Golf Club. Yes, it is. Tiger Woods. I'm sorry, ladies. I got to bring him up. He put it on the map in '96, firing a 1-under par here and winning the Las Vegas Invitational. Yeah, he's parking. I don't know what you're going to do. Back up, park, whatever. You can block his driveway. He ain't going to go out. The one right here. The one in the corner. Just back up the way you were. Yeah, you should be able to back up just the way you came through, huh? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Tiger put it on the map. Originally, this golf club here, guys, Las Vegas National, was put up by the mob in Chicago. They call it the Stardust Country Club. So their boys had a place to play golf. What's with that, huh? And then the Hilton bought it. I should say the Sahara owned it for a while. Then the Hilton bought it, and then 18 original investors out of California came in here and they purchased it. This is good here, baby. We'll let them out here. Come on, we'll get it. This is where she was ran the car in the fairway here. Where she ran the car in the fairway.
Jackson's sister's house, Robert Mayhew's house. It's the house from the movie Casino. Sharon Stone drove the Mercedes-Benz into the wall. Tragic. Yeah, I can't believe the roof. I remember those old roofs. We used to have a house like that.
Yeah.
It was just asbestos on top, roofing,
Yeah.
and they throw the rock on top for decoration. That's all it is. It has no value whatsoever.
Oh, yeah.
Just for looks is all it is.
I have no idea if it's definitely architectural issue.
This is good here. Rich and his wife got $10,000 a day for 30 days for filming. Nice, huh? God, I wish they'd have picked my house. Also absorbed, needless to say, the movie absorbed it all. When you see the movie, you're not going to see the flagpole nor the fountain in the front yard, because Scorsese had those two items removed for filming. But other than that, you're looking at the house. This is where Sharon Stone, was ramming the car in the front there, and they had a big argument in front of the house. And the reason Scorsese found this house, well, as I told you earlier, he couldn't use the real house, okay? We got this, but because it sits between the 18th closing fairway behind us and the #1 opening fairway behind the house. It sits on a land peninsula between those two fairways. So it was great. The #1 fairway in back of the house they actually used to drop the plane and to simulate what really happened over at the Las Vegas Country Club. But don't confuse them. This is the Las Vegas National Golf Club.
Right.
Out on Desert Inn Road. Las Vegas Country Club, you know, behind the Hilton, right? Okay. Go ahead, kid. As I said, Robert Mayhew's house is right next door here. Next to that was Latoya Jackson. Doesn't own it anymore. As you can see, it's been sold or still in the process of being sold. I don't know. All the way up the street, you'll see a garage that's pushed out on the sidewalk up here. As we make the turn, you look up the street here. That's Diane Carroll. She still owns the house. Still movie stars that still live in here. Well, she's a singer, dancer, actress, needless to say, you know, very talented lady. I'll show you guys Liberace's second house here. Not his first and not his third house, but his second house. On the left-hand side here, you see the white fence with them bulbs all over the tower and center? That was his second house here. And next to his house, a who's who, huh? Max Baer. Beverly Hillbillies, Jethro. Yeah. That's where Max lived. Well, now he's up where Carson City now. I think he still has a house. You know, the Ansons were all the millionaires living in the golf course. But I hear he's up there in Carson City now. I guess. That was a church, guys. Well, that's another church. You know, behind our hotel where you picked our tour up, you guys might have seen it. We were wandering around. We were waiting for the bus driver. You know that church behind us there? Called the Guardian Angel Parish? Mo Dalis put it together. Yeah. The guy that built the one parish, I guess he did build two. He built the one behind us, the Cathedral Way in Las Vegas Boulevard, because there's a lot of people in the gaming industry on Sunday morning punching a time clock. And they couldn't get a church service. So what does Mo do? He puts up the Guardian Angel Parish with the strings attached. From Saturday night at midnight to Sunday night at midnight, every 3 hours, there'd be a service set. And there's three services on a Saturday. Originally it was put up a non-denominational parish. It's now a Catholic parish, okay? But there's still 3 services on a Saturday. And that's a picture of it from the outside. That beautiful glass work in the front of that. You ever seen the stained glass at the church? It's absolutely gorgeous. It's got a mention of 3 major casinos in the stained glass. Can you believe that? Yeah. It's got a picture. You remember, I'm not getting into religion here, but I'm Catholic, okay? So just bear with me here. I know that's my problem, but... My problem, I should say. You can see when Christ was on the cross, in my belief, there were 3, what do you want to call them, robbers, whatever. And they were at the bottom, and they were tossing stones or casting. What's that casting? What do they call them? Yeah, there's a name for it. Lots. Yeah. I say they were dropping stones and they're whatever, some kind of a game. The winner of that game, one of these 3 guys here were going to get Christ's robe. Well, that's protected in the stained glass. Yeah, but here's the kicker. They're throwing dice. You get close enough and you'll see it. There's dice in there. They're using dice instead of stones. So, next time you're there, take a good look at it. His brother picks him up at the airport at O'Hare, okay, and they go back to his brother's house, they have a little something to eat. And about an hour into dinner, the phone rings, and the outfit on the other end says there's going to be a meeting in Bensenville, northwestern suburb of Chicago, and we want you guys here. Be here, they said, and they hung the phone up. So, him and his brother jump in a car and they head to Bensonville. There's a picture of Frank Cullotta. He's looking at a grand jury saying, "I will testify." He looks kind of nervous and with good reason. But he's got no choice, guys. So where he flipped over state's evidence. And he agreed. Hey, see if you can pull it back and help along that wall, okay? That's where we're headed. Yeah, there you go. When I tell you to go, go, okay? Stay off the back. Don't worry, nobody will bother you back. On the right side. This is the last time you're going to see Tony and Mike looking the way they do, okay? And Mike Spilotro, Tony's brother. Tony and him jump into a car to that house in Bensonville. They get out of the car, they walk into the house. There's a guy in the living room with his head buried in a magazine. He says, the meeting's in the basement. Oh, okay. The two brothers start walking down them basement stairs. Mike walks first. Tony follows him 4 stairs behind his brother. The guy reading that book in the living room behind Tony on that staircase. They get into the basement. Mike gets his feet on that basement floor. A guy jumps out of the shadows with a piano wire. They start taking Mike out at the bottom of that staircase. Tony can see what's going on. He's surprised. He's flustered. He's trying to get a pistol out of his coat to aid his brother. The guy behind Tony sees what he's doing. He kicks him in the back, rolls him down the stairs. He slams his head on that basement floor. He's unconscious for about 10 minutes. When he regains consciousness, there's 5 guys standing around him in that basement floor, headed by a guy by the name of Alvin Taco. These guys got combat boots on and black gloves, no baseball bats. That was a movie Casino. That's nonsense. Alvin Taco told me the last thing he ever asked was, he says, "Do I have time to say a prayer?" He didn't. They kicked these guys in the face and the head and the body so many times, you couldn't even recognize their faces. They were pushed in and kicked in so bad. Arms and legs were broke, their collarbones were snapped, their chest cavities were crushed. But they were still breathing. I think the boys thought they were cashed. They weren't. We stripped them down to their underwear, wrapped them in sheets, carrying them out to a car, threw their bodies into a trunk, and gave a couple guys directions to a 15-acre forested northwestern area in Indiana to be placed in the ground on Joey Ayupa's property. I have to go clear through. I tell you what, I can't. I really can't. Never again. I told him this when they did it. It just doesn't fly. You can't do it. I usually have hits.
You flung in more bus?
I gotta go back to the thing. What's the wrong way? They got it here and here and here and here. I can't feel it. Sorry guys, I gotta go back to the picture. To be parked here, guys, right here. A 15-acre forested area in Indiana, okay? Owned by Joey Ayupa. The boys get down there at 4:30 in the morning with the bodies in the trunk. We start digging in this area here. They're coming up with rocks and tree roots. So one guy looks at the other guy, says daylight's coming in 45 minutes to an hour. We got to get these bodies in the ground. Either that or leave them in the trunk. We'll worry about them tonight or tomorrow. We ain't having any luck here. Or we could put them in the cornfield right next to the area here. Guess what? That's where they put them. Not good, because Joey Ayupa, the mob boss, owned this, not the cornfield, and the farmer Saw the grave in the next 3 days. He used to take his tractor once every 3 days and drive around his property. He thought there were deer poachers on his property. He calls the DNR to dig up that grave. He thought they were going to find deer carcasses in there. They had a big surprise. They dug up the Spilotro brothers. They were never supposed to be found, guys, and they were buried in the wrong spot. Take it from me. The guys that put them there, they ain't around anymore. Big mistake. Opened up a huge can of worms for further the family secrets trials in 08. They put more of these guys away. They put them in the ground properly, buried 12 miles west of Chicago in a place called Queen of Heaven Cemetery. Right across the street from where they lay in the ground, Mount Carmel Cemetery is across the street where Al Capone lies. A lot of early gangsters in the 20s and 30s. Mount Carmel's filled, or that's where they'd be. Joe Ferriola, Tony's buddy. That's the guy there that Joey Iupid had ended up ordering the hit on Tony and Mike. Why Mike Spilotro? Because he was Tony's brother, that's why. A Sicilian vendetta. He knew if he get rid of Tony, he knew Mike was going to try to get even, so he says, one will get you two. He died 15 years ago in Marion, one of the highest secured federal penitentiaries in the country in southern Illinois. He's not around anymore.